My name is Cindy. I'm sitting at my cherrywood coffee table, the one I picked out just for myself. The room is filled with the soft glow of a eucalyptus and clove candle, and Fig, my gray kitten with the torn ear, is purring softly at my feet. It's been a while since I left my old life behind, and I'm finally starting to feel at peace. But it wasn't always like this. I remember the day it all fell apart, like it was yesterday. I was at the airport, ready to embark on a much-needed vacation. I'd been so excited, packing all the things I'd never had time for before. I was wearing my favorite travel hoodie, clutching my passport and the printed itinerary, feeling a sense of pride I hadn't felt in years. I handed the papers to the airline agent, and that's when everything changed. "I'm sorry," she said gently. "This reservation isn't under your name." I was in shock. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. As I stepped aside to recheck, I saw my sister Lily, dragging her two kids towards the gate. My beach tote, the one I'd splurged on, was slung over her shoulder. She waved and smiled as if nothing was wrong. Behind her, my mom called out, "We just thought she needed it more, honey. You're always working anyway." I didn't say a word. I just turned around and walked out, the wheels of my suitcase scraping the tiled floor, the itinerary crumpled in my hand. It all started with a group call. My parents, John and Sarah, and my sister Lily were on the line. Mom's voice was overly cheerful. "Cindy," she said, "we've been talking, and we think you deserve a break. You're always working, and you never take time for yourself." I was stunned. My family had never noticed things like that before. They told me they'd booked me a 4-night getaway at a beach resort, all expenses paid. I was in a daze. For once, they were doing something for me. I took the rest of the afternoon off, opening tabs for beachwear, SPF lip balm, and those paperback novels I'd always wanted to read. I even ordered a new pastel-colored, firm-shelled carry-on suitcase, imagining it rolling beside me at the airport. The next few days were a flurry of activity. I booked time off work, printed out the itinerary, and got my passport renewed. I splurged on a pair of expensive sunglasses, even though I'm prone to losing things. I caught myself smiling in the mirror while packing. I thought, is this what it feels like to be thought of? The night before the flight, Mom texted me, "Let us know when you land." "So excited for you, sweetie." I stared at the heart emoji for a long time. But then, at the airport, the betrayal hit me like a ton of bricks. Back at my apartment, I was filled with rage. I sat at my kitchen table and opened my laptop. I started going through my bank statements, and it was like peeling back my own skin. Over the past 3 years, I'd given more than $16,000 to my family. There were $80 for groceries when Mom forgot her PIN, $250 for Lily's broken dryer, and $400 towards the family vacation fund. They'd never once offered to pay me back or asked how I was doing. I found an email in my inbox, likely sent by accident. The subject line was "Vacation Guest Change. Please confirm." It spelled out the whole betrayal. "We've decided to put Lily and the kids on instead of Cindy. She won't mind. Honestly, she's always working. This way, it's less complicated. Tell her it's a gift. She'll believe it." I was furious. I created a new bank account, transferred all my savings, and removed my parents from my emergency contact list. I requested to work remotely, citing personal reasons. I filed a change of address notice, even though I didn't have a new place yet. I just needed to get away. I packed my life into 3 suitcases and a few boxes, leaving behind all the things that reminded me of my family. The dishes they'd given me, the scratchy couch I never liked, and the wall calendar with family birthdays circled in red. I wanted a fresh start. I moved to a small, anonymous town. My new apartment was on the 3rd floor of a weathered brownstone. The stairs creaked, the windows fogged up in the morning, and the carpet was old. But the sunlight hit the floor at exactly 8 hours, and the bedroom smelled faintly of cedar. It was imperfect, but it was mine. I bought a coffee table first. It was round, made of rich cherry wood with delicately carved legs. It was expensive, but I didn't care. It was something I'd chosen just for myself. Then I got some plants: basil, rosemary, thyme, and a stubborn little mint. I learned to care for them without resentment. Fig came into my life next. She was the last kitten in the shelter, with gray fur, a torn ear, and eyes that watched everything. They said she was difficult, but I didn't mind. She followed me home and never left my side. My work became a quiet rhythm. I logged in, did my job, and logged out. There were no performance reviews, no team huddles, and no birthday cards from people who didn't know me. Each day was filled with herbal tea in the morning, with Fig on the couch, emails and keyboards in the afternoon, and slow dinners and books in the evening. I changed my number, blocked the group chat, and deleted the shared calendar. There was no digital trail, just the deliberate absence of my family in my life. But then, they started to notice. It was late August, and school was starting. Lily usually sent a list of expenses to Mom, joking that it was going to my inbox, and the money would always appear. But this year, nothing. She waited a few days, then sent me a text asking if I could help with the kids' school stuff. The message stayed unread, then was marked as delivered, but I never opened it. A couple of days later, I blocked her. Lily was in disbelief. She took to Instagram, posting a black screen with white font that said, "It's always the ones who preach boundaries that forget who held them up when they were falling." My mom, Sarah, also started to feel the pinch. The grocery budget tightened, the salon visits stopped, and she couldn't afford the brunches anymore. Her friends started asking about me, and she'd lie and say I was just busy. My dad, John, stopped talking about his boat and canceled his fishing weekend. When the roof started leaking, he tried to patch it himself because I'd always taken care of the handyman. At night, Mom asked Dad if he thought I was coming back. Dad just said, no. They tried to reach out. Lily sent more texts, emails, and voice notes filled with fake concern. Dad sent one short message, just checking in. Hope you're okay. Mom went further. She bought pink stationery, the kind I liked as a teenager, and wrote me a letter saying they missed me and things were hard without me. She included an old photo of us at the beach. I saw the handwriting on the envelope and knew what it was. I let it sit on the kitchen counter for a while. When I finally opened it, I read the short note. We miss you. Things are really hard without you. Please come home. Love, Mom. There was no apology, just a gentle demand disguised as affection. I refolded the letter and put it in the drawer. Some messages don't deserve a reply. Some wounds don't need reopening. One morning, as I was stirring my tea and Fig was purring at my feet, a question popped into my head: what happens when you stop giving? I opened my laptop and created a blog. I titled it, What Happens When You Stop Giving. I didn't plan to write more than one post, but the words just flowed out. I wrote about the airport, the years of helping my family without thanks, and what it felt like to disappear. The post went viral. My inbox was filled with messages from strangers who had similar experiences. Some had cut ties with their toxic families, and others were still trapped. They all said the same thing: I thought I was alone. You said everything I couldn't. You made me feel seen. I kept writing. I wrote about guilt, about the myth of being the strong one, and about how boundaries were exits, not walls. My words became a kind of private exorcism, unhooking the weight I'd been carrying. One afternoon, I booked a trip up the coast. I packed a notebook, my camera, and nothing that tied me to anyone. I didn't post about it or send updates. I just wanted to be alone with my thoughts. On the third day of my trip, I passed a beach boutique. In the window, a shirt fluttered in the wind. It said, "This time, it's just me." I stood there for a long time, then smiled and kept walking. Back at my rental, I wrote another entry in my blog. I titled it "I'm Not Angry Anymore, but I'm Not Coming Back." I hit publish, lit a candle by the window, and watched the ocean. For the first time in my life, I didn't have to earn the silence. It was mine. As I sit here now, looking around my apartment, I know that I made the right decision. I'm not the selfish one. I was the supply line, and I stopped pouring myself into their sinkholes. The silence in my life isn't empty, it's full of the peace and freedom I've always wanted.